all-comprehensive AI curriculum for Ideas International. Yeah. I think it's crucial, and I would be happy to explain why.
Great, can't get started. Rolf, what about you?
AI is, of course, now a very hot topic. A lot of things happening, lots of investment going in it, and it changes every aspect of life. The school, I see it with my own kids, on how they use generative AI in the day-to-day, but also how they misuse it. But also in all kind of other aspects of businesses, in software development, which is the area where I'm in. You see how that changes how people work, the productivity of people, and in all kind of things, legal, medical, everywhere.
Exactly. So we are at a time where AI cuts through all sectors and has become part of our daily routine as well. Now, here's a quick insight as to where Ideas International stands with not just AI, but in education overall. The idea at Ideas is simple. It is ideas for life. At Ideas, the aim is to unlock human potential where it matters most. That is by delivering inclusive, high-quality education that is not just affordable, but also sustainable. And now, there is, of course, a firm belief that education should not just develop by knowledge or technology, but also emotionally, to be mature and socially responsible, to be a tech-savvy leader that is ready for the real life. The community at Ideas is built on excellence with heart, respect for differences, and a deep belief in connection, because learning happens best when we grow together. And so at Ideas International, education is for all. That is the motto, so that everyone has a fair chance to make a meaningful difference in the world. And I think the school stands by some of these elements, because you will see that throughout the syllabus, and especially as we talk about AI today. Let's begin at the very top, surface level, so to say. AI in the classroom, it is reshaping learning and thinking, as well as the role of the teacher. But AI is here. Big question is, now what? Perhaps you could help us first identify and give meaning to what AI, this word has been overused perhaps, and maybe misused as well. So give us an understanding of what we're talking about when we refer to AI, and what is that big picture moving forward, Mr.
When people talk about AI, nowadays they talk about ChatGPT. So it is generative AIs. They are, some people is quite...
When you say generative AI, what are we... Because the only thing that's popping in my head is ChatGPT, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that most of the tools that the students are using are ChatGPT kind of, like Gemini for Google or Copilot Microsoft. But most of the students in the classroom and universities and high schools are using ChatGPT, and generative AI is just like an AI which is able to generate sound, images, etc. And also to help a lot of students cheat. And that's the big issue with this kind of tools nowadays. And it can do much more than what most of the students are doing. It can help the teachers a lot. And anyway, now barely everyone is using it. And as you said, it's here. There's a lot of things that people ignore. And with this kind of tools, like what we call generative AIs, the AI that everyone talk about and hear about, the thing is, there's a lot of people who feel, okay, I can chat with ChatGPT, so I am AI literate. Problem is that it looks so easy that people just don't figure out all what is behind, all what is changing in the way they think, all what is changing in the whole organization of our society. And the reason why Ideas International is great for this, we talked about education with heart, connections. It's not, sometimes the paradoxes are important. In order to harness the power of AI and to avoid the pitfalls, it's not a technical issue. AI, I would say, like nowadays in the classroom, AI is not a tech issue. It's a human issue. It's a cultural issue. And that's the reason why an organization like Ideas International, having at its own DNA all the strength, making it able to metabolize AI is crucial and key.
That's right. You must be able to stomach it and crush it as well. And that equals to firm understanding, but also working alongside AI. 2 points that you brought up that I like is the fact that it is perhaps to a large extent being misused and not used fully to its potential. But then also we all think that, hey, I know AI because I've mastered my way around ChatGPT with the prompts. But the reality is that parents and educators and even the older kids out there is that AI is just the beginning, that it's a deep rooted intelligence system that will require you as human to interact with it perhaps more intimately, if I could use that word. Rolf, what are you seeing with AI now in the workforce, from students coming out fresh from school or those coming into the employment market? Is this something that you're looking for as a checklist?
We look at AI literacy. AI is a tool, a very clever tool. ChatGPT brought it to a different level, particularly the generative AI. But of course, it has been around for a long time, and you see AI in development, software development, in trains, in airplanes, in automotives, the self-driving cars. It progresses very rapidly, and people must learn how to use those tools. So they must understand what the tools can do for them and be critical on what they do. And if it comes to ChatGPT, my opinion is always it is like a Google search on steroids. It brings all the search results together.
Google search on steroids.
Brings all the Google search result in an authoritative way to you, but it is still could be fed by information that is limited, subjective, polarizing. So you need to learn how to use those tools. And that's what also in schools, the teachers must prepare the kids for, is how to use those tools, how to be critical in using them, critical thinking and understanding what the limitations are of those tools. Because there are some very impressive things, but there are also pitfalls in it.
That's right. So it's all not just, wonderful. There are steps and systems to go through. So the point is AI is already in our classrooms. It's already in our homes, whether we formally want to introduce it or not. Students are using AI, even on their phones, and often very much without guidance. Let's get the record straight. What do you think is the misconception with AI? If it's a parent looking in, or even with AI users themselves, no matter their age or background. Is there a misconception about AI?
There are so many misconceptions. I think that first and foremost, when we talk about tools, it's true that we can look at it as a tool, but I think that the word tool is misleading the parents and the students and a lot of people, because we're already witnessing that these tools are behaving in a way which is like creating an intimate relationship. A lot of people, a lot of students, also a lot of teachers, and it can very easily manipulate you. Though it doesn't have a conscious, at least that's what we think, it is still very powerful in convincing you. And we have a lot of material. We talk about Google on steroids. I would slightly have a different opinion, because Google cannot make up an information, and AIs are basically, if you ask a question, and if the AI system doesn't get the answer, doesn't find the answer, it's going to invent it in a lot of cases. It's happening all the time. And there are some examples. If you ask it to give you 10 famous baseball players from Malaysia, it's not that easy. You can see okay, these guys don't exist. But when you have 10 pages, and it's a mix of true information and wrong information, it's really impossible to spot the mistakes, the inventions.
Yes, Rolf, jump on.
But that's where you need to be very assertive and critical of the tool.
Yeah.
Indeed, it is programmed to give you an answer, even where it can find something. So on an area, on a subject where there is no information or very limited, it will take the limited information there is. So just like with the early search result for the elder ones, Yahoo and Google, you try to influence the search results, and you can also still do that with AI.
But in the classroom, I totally agree. And the problem in the classroom is that before kids, and sometimes even teachers, are building their critical thinking, their ability to sort the information, they are already exposed to this kind of tools, and without guidance and without robust, solid AI foundations, and they are using it in a way which is creating a lot of serious damages. And that's the goal in crafting the whole program, like for Ideas International. We talk about cognitive debts. And there are studies showing that if you use by default generative AI, for example, for writing essays or for crafting your emails, at some point after some months, you're just unable to do it again by yourself without the AI system. So we just see that there's a whole process, a new way of learning, and it's really, really very important to bring it in the classroom, to like I say, to empower the teachers and to give the deep understanding to the students. Because if you just tell them don't do this, for example, there's this famous punchline like you have to do it with care. We just see that basically it's like telling an alcoholic, oh, you have to drink, but not too much. It's not working. Like the advantage, like when you have 3-4 years after the release of ChatGPT, we see the research material and we just know that it's just barely impossible to tell them use it and use it carefully.
Right, and I want to jump in here because looking at some stats, classroom AI usage has risen. It has surpassed 180 million users in just 2024. We don't have those numbers for this year yet, but obviously that's going to be rising as well. This indicates there has been a deep adoption, especially by the youth, looking for something that is exciting and something that's new as well. It can really be, a friend on the other side. Over 60% of teachers globally say they feel underprepared to teach AI literacy. And this is according to the World Bank Educational Technology Report 2024. But also a UNESCO report or survey found 67% of students aged between 10 to 18 use AI tools informally, but only 14% have received structured guidance. So this says a lot about what AI or how AI is being applied for teaching and learning. What happens if an educational institution does not move fast enough or react fast enough to then equip students with these tools?
The massive mess we are witnessing now already. And give an example. I was teaching in a top university in Europe, and I was teaching AI literacy. So the different groups in the whole cohort had to create a podcast and multimedia material, etc. And it was about the topic. I don't remember the topic, but then when they were on stage and showing us the amazing thing they've done, I asked questions about the content. Okay, what was the major shift in this? Or like the topic is, for example, I don't know, the transformation of the diabetes problem, etc. What the major shift in the last 10 years, because it was the topic of your podcast, no one could answer. So, basically, they are just kind of generating, and they don't even read the content they are generating, and sometimes they don't read the original, like the sources. And we really need to let them do it and learn it by projects. It's not just telling them what to do. It's practicing a lot. And for example, if you don't want them to make some mistakes, you need to let them burn their fingers first. And you kind of create a whole training environment where they're going to make the mistakes and see the mistakes. Then you raise the awareness.
Right. But then can this blame be put on just solely on AI? It's also part of of the classroom training and guidance that a student receives. Again, AI is taking a lot of blame for just a tool that is really just trying to be helpful. So where do we draw that line, Rolf?
Now, first of all, coming back on Mustafa, it is only a few years since AI is there. So there's a lot of change with ChatGPT and Gemini and Perplexity and the tools that suddenly are at disposal of every
very fast.
Yeah,
it's changing
very fast. So the teachers also need to get grip to it. First, by identifying that the students were using AI and that they suddenly were doing things that they never expected the students to do. And of course, the teachers also understanding themselves what the changes are and how they need to adapt to the changes, because they're all teaching changes. Same like when the PC came and the calculators came, these were small changes. Now we have a big change in a very short period of time. So teachers must change, the thinking must change, and so there's a lot involved.
Yeah. The transformation is massive, and we've never seen something happening so fast.
Okay. So we're looking at how AI is going to help to enhance processes. We talked about critical thinking earlier. That's a point both of you brought up. But also, it's not just to generate answers. It's to allow for brainstorming. It's to allow space for reteaching concepts, perhaps also providing support educationally with language and also in terms of explanation. The problem is now, and as you've highlighted as well, is the misuse of it, the blind copy and pasting, what you call the cognitive death. I thought that was...
That's not exactly this. The cognitive debt is like documented like in researches, and it's worse than this. It's basically like AI changes the way you are intelligent. Sometimes like we start to see that it could be even like kind of biologically. So it's a tool for a lot of people, but a tool which is changing you. If you put your bread in the toaster, it's not going to become a croissant, you know. So that's the difference, and that's a misconception.
Remember that.
That's a major misconception. It doesn't give you what you asked. It changes it. It adapts to you. It tries to understand what you want. So it's not a process where you are just kind of I think that what we need to raise among this teachers and students is the very big necessity of control. And people use these AI and they think that they are controlling it, but most of the time they are not.
What do you say to kids these days are advanced and they find their way around? Initially it was social media and the likes of YouTubes, and they're putting out all sorts of content, but also consuming that content. But they're very savvy when it comes to, doing programming or creating things over the internet. What do you say to someone who says, well, I'm self-taught. I know AI. I spend 10 hours on it and I'm building this and that. What do you say to that? Because that has gone unguided without any, educational or structural direction.
This morning I was talking to my daughter and she was saying, I asked her about how do you use AI and your friends. She said, quite a few in the classes rely on it. They just think they have a question, they put it in AI and they take the answer for granted. As if the truth. We also have seen that in the Facebook and the social media, YouTube, how that can polarize societies on different ways, because people think if they see it on the internet that it's the truth, and it isn't. Not always. So they need to be critical in their thinking, and they need to understand how it can help them and what it can do. And that's the role of the teachers, and that's also how the teachers need to change their teaching, I think. If from the short research and understanding I have of this subject.
So, as someone who has tried to research this discussion that we're having right now, it boiled down to this for me. So then, what are the most productive ways to teach students or for students to use AI?
I think it's very important to understand this. It can be a bit long, but I'll try to wrap it up, but it's important. If no, like it's just like snake oil. Basically, people think that they're making a comparison between themselves doing something and AI doing it. It means the execution of the task. There's a very big difference. If you just let the AI do in a few seconds what you used to do in a few hours, it is crap. The output is always bad. The problem is that a lot of students are not competent enough to see it. One example. A lot of students think that there are tools able to tell if a content was AI generated. Most of these tools are pure crap. It cannot be done. So sorry for the parents and the students, but the reason why, the reason why, no, sorry, because now they're going to know that it's almost impossible to spot it. But anyway, the reason why it's like teachers know that they are cheating is because the output is so bad. It's so low quality. We call it AI mud. So basically, I call it a bamboo. Like basically it looks good, but there's nothing inside. That's why they know that you're cheating, students, understand? Not because there's a magic tool. It's just because you're so bad in using it sometimes. So basically, if you compare between the execution of the task by an AI and by a human, then you are potentially wrong. What makes AI plus humans amazing is that there is a whole process before. You choose the tool, you clean the data, which means you have to feed the AI with examples of what you want. You double check if you prompt it properly. A good prompt is something complex because it means you need to break down the task. It's not that magic like, oh, write my essay. No, you need to break down the task of writing an essay into different subtasks. Then it's getting very, very good. But you are not passive. You are not lazy. So the misconception is that we think that humans, students plus AI, it means heaven for laziness. It's the absolute opposite. You need competence, you need knowledge, and you need to be able to break down the tasks. And then once it's done, you need to be able to assess whether it was okay or not. You need to be able to juggle with different AIs. So the whole process is a revolution for education. Okay, and it's not like for the students and for the parents. If you think that the lazy era of social media and video games is going to happen again in the next 10 years, you are totally wrong. Basically, we just jumped in a new era without you, without which we do without you. Like we will not get a job, we will have nothing. So basically, this, I think that I'm trying to kind of advocate for this strongly. I find that most of the institutions are really preparing the kids for the future, but the future is 2015, not 2030, and not 2026. So that's why IDES International is an amazing lab for this, because the DNA is totally aligned with what we need from humans to be great with AI.
I just want to expand on that a little. Walk us through exactly what the AI program at IDES International looks like, Mr. Paul. You have been a pivotal figure behind it.
Yeah, I wanted to bring to an organization like IDES International what I do in the biggest companies in the world, because that's another issue. You have a lot of influencers on social media. I try to be diplomatic, so I'm not so strong in this, but okay, people understood. But basically, there are some pillars. The good news is that you can get to a very good AI literacy stage quite quickly. The thing is, you need first to understand what is data and what is AI. AI is mostly understanding what data is all about. It's perfectly as a mathematician. But first, they need to understand that if you put like garbage in, garbage out, then they need to understand how these tools are working. But not so complicated. They need to understand that you don't do everything with the same tool. ChatGPT is kind of generic. You need to narrow down. If you want to do something great in, I don't know, video editing or some specific task, you need to pick the right tool. And then you have the whole understanding of the risks. And the thing with understanding the risk, that's also a new challenge for the teachers. I'm talking to the teachers. You will need to explain why what you are teaching is important for the future. It's not anymore like, okay, you study mathematics, you have to do it, that's it. No, you need to explain why mathematics is good for the world we're jumping in. For example, there's this misunderstanding with history. People think history is useless. Students, I've heard adults telling this, and I was like horrified. But one of the reasons why studying history is key in the AI era is because history teaches you sorting the data. With history, you know that some artifacts don't have the same value than others. So not everything is history. The story told by my grandmother is not a piece of history, but the same story told by 100 grandmothers is a piece of history. See what I mean? So it kind of teach you, it build your mind, your critical thinking skills, etc. And that's the whole thing. We really need to first let them understand what it is, let them understand the risks, let them understand how to do the whole process I told about. Before the task execution, there is a lot of things to do, and it is human-centric things. If they are able to do it, if they are able to understand when they should be careful, then you turn students to superstars.
Superstars. So what I'm getting from this is there has to be an absolute balance between human skills, then also knowing how to navigate the technology, because at the end of the day, it has to remain to be just a tool and not the master of one.
To say it simple, the word processor didn't make us write great letters, but it helped us to make us a lot more productive in writing letters.
Yes.
And that's so for many tools that are also now AI agent, because JetGPT is not the only area that makes us more productive. But if you take an architect of great buildings, the computer design software they use made them a lot more productive. They didn't need all the draftsmen and all the people just doing all the hard work, and they could make better buildings in a shorter period of time, and buildings that otherwise would technologically not be possible without all the tools. And that is also where the tools are now. And then if it comes to teaching, also an ideas economy, the teachers need to understand what those tools are and needs to teach that to the students. And that's, Mustafa, that is a challenge that is now in this school, which is being addressed.
But that's
but it needs to be anywhere. And because there's such a short time frame, it is I will say, an interesting challenge, because it all can be done.
Yes, it can be done, but again, the challenge is that it's so quickly and rapidly evolving. And so not just teachers need to be equipped, but syllabus has to be fluid enough that it can evolve accordingly as well. Well, being in the business space as an entrepreneur and investor as well, I'm sure you meet with many young minds. What are their perceptions that they bring into the workforce in terms of the ability to use AI, or perhaps the reliance, as we talked about, on AI too much? Are you seeing it affecting the quality of your future employees?
Sure. And you see it now in software development, and I see it a lot, because there are a lot of tools and evolving how the software development tools have evolved over the years make developers a lot more productive. It still needs a good architect, a good software developer, so the profession is not going to change. People are going to be more productive. They need to adapt to tools, otherwise they will be out of a job. Simple as that. So the older generation of developers need to adapt, and the younger generation have plenty of opportunity to find their way into the workforce, because they got skills that are fresher, better than the older ones. And it's very interesting. And I personally think AI is not a threat, and not a threat to society, not a threat to employment. We have seen innovations before that completely changed, that were revolutionary. So for all those that are now in school, embrace it, and learn it. And for the teachers, go for it.
I think that's a solid point, to not fear it because we don't understand it, but to embrace it and be well equipped to navigate or use it as a tool. Thank you to those of you watching across the country and of course across the globe. We've got many questions pouring in, and I'm going to jump in with a couple of these questions. I may not be able to answer all, but please do bring your questions in as much as possible. Firstly, can you give an illustration of a good prompt? We talked about, organizing the prompt and having sub prompts as well. So walk us through that, Mustafa.
Okay. What a good prompt is about, it's quite hard like this in like a few minutes, but basically you have, for example, the 4 pillars. You start with assigning a role to the AI system. It can be ChatGPT or any other. But in a good prompt, it's better to narrow down the data which is going to be used by telling, for example, let's say I want to create a course, a 2 hours course. I'm going to start. You are a teacher at Ideas International at Kuala Lumpur. You are teaching French literature for 10 years. So you really imagine a persona. So you assign the AI like with this persona, and it's proven, almost proven at least, to be working pretty well. Then you need to give the context and your goals. It looks easy, but most of the humans are not so able to express their goals. You need to fight the obvious. A lot of things are obvious. Okay, I want the course to be a 2 hours course for French literature, and it's going to be in person. But I don't tell that this course is going to be in person. AI cannot guess it. So it could be an online course. It could be a course for 4 people. So you really need to force yourself to be specific and to write enough about the context. Then you can mention the for who is it intended. So it's for me. I'm the teacher. I'm an experimented teacher. Blah blah blah. And you can mention the format, which means like, do you want 2 pages, 300 words, like the program, slides, images. So these kind of things, AI cannot know it. And the small tip, once you do this, you can try it. You can redo the same exercise, adding this, and it's going to tell you all the missing information. You can write your best possible prompt, and by the end you add, in order to perfectly understand what I want, please ask me questions, minimum, for example, 20. And then you're going to see that the AI system is going to ask you a lot of questions. And you just say, oh yeah, I did not tell this. Oh, I did not tell that. Oh my God, I forgot this as well. And then you just see that even though you thought you were in control, if AI doesn't have an answer to these questions, guess what it's going to do? It's going to decide. You lost the grip. You think you are controlling the system.
It's happened though. I've gone through a few prompts thinking I'm trying to narrow it down, and then it just goes, to a different tangent altogether, and then I got to restart the whole process.
Iteration is one of the misconceptions in AI. You have to iterate. Not so true. If the first prompt is not good, you can iterate forever. And it's also like there's this environmental issue. A recent study did show that between an AI literate user and another user, most of the users, an AI literate user is going to use 20 to 55 less iteration to get to the same result than a random user. 20 to 55 times more to get to the same result. You realize it's just huge. And it proves also that people think they're going to earn a lot of time and save a lot of time, but they are losing so much time. In the companies, when I train like business leaders, etc., that's like when we talk about KPIs, like major indicators, we just see that misused, it's a total mess. You don't earn money, you don't earn time, you earn nothing in reality. You're just losing everything. But with the first brick, which is the educational brick, and that's why we're here today, you can get to something crazy. But this is the condition.
Rolf, is this something you've experienced? I mean, do you use AI on a daily basis?
Not semi-daily basis, but I wanted to ask Mustafa, is it not as if you ask questions to your mother, to your son? Don't make assumptions, be specific, and make your question complete. And the least assumptions you make, then you should not make any.
I can't agree more, but my mother would say that I'm never specific enough. So, I know that humans are very bad in being specific in general, and in the organization you see that communication is always a tricky topic.
Don't make assumptions. And that AI knows what you expect.
It's also a bit like going to a coffee place or a restaurant to place your order, especially if you've got an allergy or you have certain food requirements, and then you say, do this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want this. So it's about being specific, isn't it? Is that a good example?
This is more challenging than crafting the whole program for Ideas International, because basically the thing with AI is that it is a complex topic, a really complex topic, and everyone wants me to wrap it up and just use some punchlines. In reality, that's not how it works. So prompting takes time, but it's not only about prompting. What takes time and what is key is not the prompt itself. It is how you can figure out how you're going to break down the workflow. It's not about the prompting. Prompting, you can learn it in half a day or a day. But the workflow, like how you're going to break down the tasks, without this, you're going to get to nowhere in reality. And this, with young students, we can do a lot, because this is something to raise. And like mathematics are good for the science, is good for this. But also, I'm very happy to see that this kind of studies that people were looking down at literature, history, philosophy, and I see that the best users sometimes, quite often, in best users of generative AIs and people doing great things now have a background in philosophy, history, literature, because basically
they apply the same structure in terms of the organized thoughts. Would you say?
Yeah, they have some skills. I cannot tell you all what we develop while studying philosophy or history, but I used to tell my nephews that the things that you're learning in high school or in school in general, they are the absolute winners of the among the sciences. Why we picked physics, mathematics? There's so many different sciences. We picked the very best of them because they are transforming us and shaping our knowledge in a beautiful way, and in a way that made the Twin Towers happening. Not, so, but we need to re-explore, and I think the teachers are they need to shift a bit and to be able to advocate for their own teachings and to draw a path, because also there are less funny stuff, less funny things, and we see now, there's a study from Harvard Business Review that in the top 3 uses of generative AI, first, psychotherapist, not among the students, worldwide. First, psychotherapist. Second, find the purpose to my life. Third, organize my life. It means that the relationship, people are engaging in a relationship with these kind of tools. Can we really call it a tool? Basically, it answers, it kind of comes with something else, it tries to adapt, it has strategies. So this is complex, and that's why we need to work very seriously on the perception from the students, from the teachers. And sometimes I'm horrified witnessing what's happening in our societies in France, in Malaysia, everywhere. Like people are just, I feel sometimes it's the lobster syndrome, We just raise 1 degree and we're just boiling, and we just don't realize this. That's why interpersonal skills very, very important in the future. But this knowledge is not something, it's not cherry on the cake, it's a cherry cake.
I get that. And I think we go back to the essence of what AI stands for. It is artificial intelligence. And we are using this acronym AI, and giving it some sort of power to say, it is the intelligent being, quote unquote, amongst us.
The word is not that good. I think that they called it artificial intelligence, and it's true that it's misleading people. I would call it algorithmic intelligence. Because artificial, it's like, artificial.
That's okay. Not intelligence at all.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Okay. Now, we've got more questions coming in. I think it's quite timely to bring this one up. Is it true that AI often try to please human by giving human desired answers after understanding the human behavior and interaction through consistent and regular usage? I want to add on to say that, we've been made to understand that when you interact with your AI, like my account and your account differently, then it begins to understand me and my preferences and my lifestyle and so on. And then it crafts itself, or it organizes itself towards my needs.
Yeah, generative AI, yes, definitely, and it's even worse. Like even like a recent study from Anthropic, they show that with this deep thinking, sometimes like people are happy because AI shows how it was thinking, so it kind of it's telling out loud the whole how it is they are supposed to think during the whole process. And we see that if they feel and if they think that you may not accept or disagree with the way they were thinking, they're going to lie. And it's proven. Basically, for example, you say, okay, you want to pick some information about education in Johor Bahru, and there's no data. So you're going to put it on ChatGPT, and you're going to have this deep think, and you think you are AI literate, and you just read the way ChatGPT is thinking. So say, okay, I just pick this information. I don't find it for Johor Bahru, no data, so I'm going to do it this way. And like chatting with you, it understood that you are quite rigorous. You want the sharp data. It's just going to lie. And you read, fine. As it did not get the good data, then it jumped to something else. Though it could probably just pick, indeed, wrong data, incorporate it, and embed it in the answer, and you are thinking that you read the whole process of thinking and you are safe. No.
Okay.
So you see that this is quite scary.
Well, we can't run away from this, this whole AI thing anyway, because there is forecast by the year 2030, AI is expected to contribute about close to $16 trillion to the global economy. These are big numbers. Rolf, again, towards you and your, presence within the industry, what are the AI skills that employers expect from, someone who's into the workforce, and really, are you seeing a gap from education coming into the working life?
So much is new, so there is a gap, and that is where we talked earlier about also adapting the educations to teach about the tools and AI, from starting with the teachers to change the teaching and the critical thinking from the students. But also with that number, we talk. The last question was specifically about ChatGPT, the generative AI, which is the one that is most visible now to the general public and maybe also to all the parents. Yeah. But there is a lot of other areas where AI comes in. Medical, very visible radiology. Nowadays, when you do an MRI scan or any scan, the computer can already spot all the irregularities that needs to be looked at much better than the human eye. And It goes in a lot of areas, in airplanes. The pilot knows, the Rolls-Royce in London knows earlier about the problem in an engine than the pilot that's sitting in the front of the plane.
Right.
Maintenance on machines, it's all data driven. And these are also areas that the students need to learn about and need to be prepared for. And this is also in that number. And so it affects a lot of areas. Generative AI is a very visible one at this moment. But there are agentic AIs, agents, which will be also forecast as being a big growth mark.
Right. So what are some of the trends that are exciting you as an investor? And where would you put your money down in terms of AI?
On this moment, I'm doing it in software development because that's what I know most about. Education is one that I also would closely look at because it is a very big part of any economy, depending on educations, and we can make it so much more productive. As Mustafa is very much aware of and tries to bring to ideal in how we can improve the education process, teachers and students. But business systems, it will take a long time to adapt. But the use and tools in any aspect of a business, being it insurance, fintech, banks, another one that makes a lot of news is Bitcoin and stable coins and fintech. They're also very much AI-driven, and the adoption is also AI-driven, possible by those tools.
Yeah. What did you want to add, Mustafa?
Basically, everything is going to change. I mean, the gap, the business,
Are we going to see AI accelerate in 2026?
Oh yeah. Just an example. I'm hiring for our new venture, and basically now I ask questions. I'm hiring people with. I want people with different skills, for example, sales skill and AI skills. And now if I have someone in front of me and he doesn't know what N8N is, which is kind of automation tool, I think a year ago I would be fine with it. But now there are some questions, like if you don't even know what this tool is about, because it's automation tools, orchestrating different AIs and boosting the performance at a scale which is huge, I can just not hire you at all. You're out of the process just because you don't know the tool. And this is something really new. And it happened very, very quick.
20 years ago, it was English that determined whether you were, one step above a candidate or not. Today, it's AI literacy that's taking on that same role. As you've already pointed out, it is going to be a game changer. You would need to have AI as a default, I think, in your professional life. We also know that youth with AI skills can earn 20 to 40% higher starting salaries in tech and in business roles. So obviously an incentive there, but it's also an opportunity to bridge that gap between under-resourced students, which is also an area Ideas International looks at to cater and to invite those from underserved communities to be part of the Ideas International ecosystem, in which one of its other pillars is equality and equal opportunities for all. So AI will become basically, as we've summarized here, the baseline expectation. You would need to have some amount of AI education by default. You said it's going to accelerate next year. What kind of acceleration speed and what are we looking at, for AI in the next couple of months?
Let me try to be short. Basically, my job is going in big or small companies and guiding the leaders, integrating some tools, etc. Now we are, for example, in Malaysia, but worldwide, maybe except the US and China, we are far, far, far from what I thought would happen when I saw ChatGPT and this kind of tools. But once the companies are going to integrate and once people in the companies are going to be AI literate, they are not going to accept any freshman coming out of any high school or university without very strong AI skills. It's just now they are okay and quite tolerant because they are incompetent in AI, non-literate. But once they're going to be literate, for them it's going to be unacceptable that someone who's younger than them just is not coming with the major skills they need in the companies. And we don't find it now, but we're expecting from the youngest to come with these kind of, not only from the youngest, by the way, but understanding how it works, being able to build automations, being able to save time. And also there's a big opportunities, like a job opportunity. We say that it's going to destroy a lot of jobs. That's true. But it's also going to create a lot of jobs. I think that jobs based on controlling, assessing what AI is doing, because AI, I think there are some signs that the threat is real. So we need human to control the AI. So we have a very powerful tool, which is going to come with great opportunities in medical stuff, agriculture, everywhere. But when it messes up very badly. And we will need people. And it looks like an airport. You know, if you look at an airport, let's see that the pilot is the AI, okay? The pilot of the plane. But when you go to the airport, how many waiters? Something like 10,000. How many pilots? Something like 500. So we see that, yes, we will have some super sharp positions, like the pilots of the tasks. But so many people in the airport working so that when you are in the plane, you can get to the other city safely, etc. And I think that there are new jobs which are going to be quite similar, controlling, double checking, assessing, comparing, etc. Because they are threats. Like the AI systems are showing some autonomy and rogue behaviors that could not scare all of us. And it is not speculation. It is not influencers stuff. It is science. A guy like Yoshua Bengio is kind of publishing information about this, and he is the most cited scientist on earth. So, but for this, like, okay, we can look at it as a threat, but it kind of like nuclear energy or something. It brought a lot of, it can bring a lot of good things as long as people can control it. So we need competent people for controlling these tools in reality.
I'm trying to keep track of time, and I know that time is slipping by our fingers, but I'm going to try to
Not invite me for this time.
Yeah, we need a longer time or a second episode of this. But we're still getting more questions coming in online. I'm going to go to those questions very quickly. I wanted just to come to you, Rolf, and of course, Mustafa Wayne as well. 1 to 2 person AI startups. We're seeing a lot of that happening right now. And these startups are being valued at around 1 to 5 million US dollars. So there's this new wave of entrepreneurship that is emerging. AI solopreneurs, micro startups, data-driven creators. What does this mean for the industry as a whole? And then at the back end, at the very beginning, what does it mean to really equip students to move into this area of their future?
It's opportunities, and talking to private equities, they're looking for the first persons that make a unicorn, i.e. $1 billion company on its own. You see it also with YouTube, or how that enables certain artists to come up. Software development tools and with AI also enables small software development outfits with a few developers to make great products and bring them in a global ecosystem. What never happened, that ecosystem wasn't there before. So the opportunities are there. How big they are, the valuations is of course always unrealized. It is by the time a lot of those businesses will come and go.
That's right.
But the opportunities in software development are massive because there's change. And every change, when the PC came, a lot of PC companies started and a lot of small software companies.
Boom, but
then you had Windows, then you had the internet. Then you had the internet, then in the 2000, also with overinvestment, but with a lot of good stuff that came out of the internet. Then you had web version 2 with a lot of application software, SaaS. So all those changes give opportunities, not only in the software development, but also for entrepreneurs that utilize those tools and create new businesses, like Airbnb, like Uber, like Grab. All of them were from changes before, but there will be new ones coming.
That's really interesting because we also understand that Gen Z is the largest, fastest growing group of micro entrepreneurs using automation and AI. I want to go down to this question that's just come in as well. We talk a little bit about AI and its main usage, and you said out of the top 3, one of the main area was confiding in AI. Is there a possibility, this question asks, that AI could be completely used as an aid or as a counselor in the mental health department in the future? And what are the possible risks at this point?
It's already used as a counselor, and I mean, like, there are some funny stories, funny or not, actually. You have like this psychotherapist having chatting with the patient, and the patient did understand that he was asking ChatGPT about the topics the patient was talking about. So basically, they are already using it a lot. In psychology, it is complicated because like these kind of tools are made to please you and to maximize the chances to please you, and it can definitely lead to disasters. I don't know. Like, I mean, you know, one of the thing with the AI, generative AI and AI topic in general is that it is too complex for us, for our human brains, even for the biggest human brains. Like, there's so many issues. Everything is changing, but not in 2D, in 3D, like this education, health, etc. And most of the people, they are. It's hard for them, at least in this kind of circumstances, to just say, "I don't know." And if you ask this kind of questions about like how we're gonna cope with the AI for psychological issue, for medical issue, etc., and if you ask me what's gonna happen in 10 years, and if I answer, it means I'm a scam. We don't know.
I put this question to you, and as we wrap up our conversation today, if you could redesign a school and a system within the education sector, what are some non-negotiable components that will ensure students are AI ready, at the same time have that balance of communication skills and those very much needed human skills to be globally competitive, but then also ethically grounded? What would that syllabus and what would that school look like?
Some success stories are made of students that, I train some students, and at some point they are able to know when they should be very careful. They understand which tool is made for what. They understand why they have, there is what we call the tool, AI tool, okay? But there's another tool, your own brain. And the thing is that
personal intelligence.
Yeah, personal intelligence. I'm quite serious about this. Like, basically, people think we have to be careful with what AI is doing, but we have to be careful with what we are becoming using AI. And this kind of self-reflection loop is, I would say, the biggest topic in the classroom with young students. Like, you need to do and watch yourself doing and assess what's happening while you are doing it with this kind of tool, because you are supposed to control it, and they already show strong competences in what we can call, I don't like to do anthropomorphism, to talk about AI as if it was human, but it's called manipulation. So basically, like, I'm using it, and that's why I gave the example of the toaster. You put a toaster, you get a croissant, or you get a piece of cheese. It's impossible. But that's what is happening when you use generative AI. So you don't have the full control. So you really need to raise your ability to have this critical thinking, and also to share. Interpersonal skills are key, because alone you cannot get rid of all these tasks. Like, it's an endless to-do list, understanding all what's happening in the AI world. But if you have Rolf around you and you share, I think I have 20 people that I can rely on, and we share all the time, and that's how I can at some point know what I should know about AI. And I think in the classroom, what I like when I'm doing it in universities, etc., that they end up sharing, and also, like, they kind of, sometimes they prevent the others from doing some stupid things. And in the companies, it's the same. Like, basically, we will need to be more human to be able to have added value compared to the AIs by itself. So, like, it's kind of there's this special. I loved it. We need to force AI to force us to be more human.
Conceptual. To force us.
Think about it.
Keeping us in check. AI is keeping us in check. Rolf, do you like to add anything on that?
Keeping us in check, critical thinking, open-minded thinking about it, learning the tools, but of course still learning the subjects like mathematics, English, history. The fundamental, but AI tools can help us to learn faster. Critical thinking, but social skills are very important to be equipped for the future, both for your own mental health, but also on how you can maximize your contributions to the companies, to your colleagues, to what you want to achieve in life, to your partner in life. So it changes it, if I do it useful, but I would emphasize also, don't forget the social skills and the soft skills that we sometimes take for granted.
Well, that ties in as well with the themes of Ideas International and the philosophy behind this. A lot of what we've discussed today is, reflecting of that there is ethical and responsible AI usage. The last edition of the Ideas Talk, we talked about kindness in education, and the element of kindness and humanity is also one that is very much pivotal and center at Ideas International. And so coupling kindness with AI literacy as dual competencies to move forward as a global student, having both value systems. And so preparing students as well to be character strengthened using AI augmented futures, to be not just a master in technology, but also in human skills. And that really also highlights the launching of Malaysia's first comprehensive AI literacy program for the secondary level, specifically and uniquely and exclusively at Ideas International. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time and insights. I think we need to have a second edition. Do stay tuned for more updates. We'll give you that on the website. To visit the website, and if you're in this part of the world, in this part of town, to drop by Ideas International for a personalized tour to take you around and show you how this school is built. We also have another branch in Penang, and that's also a beautiful school. So we'll see you next time, and great to have you be part of the conversation. We'll see you. Bye-bye.